Ready to go? Okay, let's call to order the April 8th, 2019 special meeting of the Tarpon Springs Planning and Zoning Board. Let's start with a call to order and roll call.
Mr. Seaman,
Here.
Mr. Coiner, Mr. Stavropoulos,
Here.
Mr. Vesey,
Here.
Ms. McCumber,
Here.
Mr. Petrantoni, Ms. Vigil.
Here.
All right, called the meeting to order. The only item on our agenda tonight is application 19-27, the Land Development Code Amendment relating to the vacation of streets, plats, or other property. Could the staff tell us what's going on?
Sure. This is a proposal to amend the Land Development Code by removing the requirement for a calculation of the application fee for right-of-way vacations that is currently based on land valuation. So the city's current street vacation process requires an application fee based on the property value of the land that is occupied by the street. The city attorney has provided a research memorandum that is in your packet, and that memorandum recommends that we remove the portion of the fee related to the value of the land. So the proposed amendment removes that valuation calculation, and it retains the nominal fee of $200 to cover the cost of processing the application. So you can see that change on page 2 of Resolution 2019-06, striking the valuation portion of the fee and leaving the $200 application fee. Are there any questions?
I have a question. And I understand this, and it makes perfect sense. My question is, under what circumstances does a street vacation occur? Is it when someone owns all the parcels around it and doesn't want the street anymore? Is it for use by the city or for private developers?
Usually the requests come from private developers, lot owners. They do not have to own the property completely surrounding the street. They request a vacation of the street and state the reasons for the vacation. They do all the research to check with all the utilities and the electric and gas and all those entities that may have an interest in the street or infrastructure in the street. They do all that research up front, and then they apply for the vacation. In the case, and then it depends on the ownership pattern. If the street, the segment of street, and a lot of times it's a segment of a street, like a dead end or something, depends on the ownership pattern where, once the street is vacated, if it's approved, where the ownership goes. So half of the street may go to the owner on one side, half, if it's a different owner, would go to the owner on the other side. So what the city has in place now is the person applying for the vacation has to basically tender 50% of the segment of the street based on a valuation which is calculated based on property appraiser value of the surrounding adjacent land. So that's the portion that we're trying to recommending that we revise and strike, is the valuation fee that is called an application fee in our ordinance.
I can see where that makes sense, and it's fair based on what the attorney has researched. Also, my only question really would be is, because obviously that was bringing in some additional revenue, $200 doesn't cover the cost of the staff reviewing this. Or is it in our purview to raise the fee a little bit to help offset the cost some, or or is the fee something that you can adjust if you need to in the future?
Yeah, staff is just looking at this point to make this revision. I think periodically the city does review its fees, its review fees. And I think it would probably be more appropriate with all the other application fees to look at that in the future. I understand your concern, and yeah.
Now, some of these fees, aren't they pretty much covered in the impact fees when they begin to build out that?
You mean the application fees, or?
When they're going through the application process and they decide to build?
Mm-hmm.
Aren't a lot of those fees are incurred at that point?
Well, application fees are to cover the cost of the staff.
Okay,
time,
gotcha.
But you can.
Gotcha. Okay.
Impact fees, sure.
I don't need to be sworn for this one because we're not doing SOAR. All right, Heather Erler for the record. So the answer to that question, the impact fees are a completely different fee. Generally, when you're dealing with a vacation of right-of-way or any of the applications that you're dealing with under the Land Development Code, they're pre-development applications, so they're done prior to a building permit coming into the building.
Right.
The impact fees are done at the time of the actual building. So most of the time, those application fees are paid prior to the impact fees being paid at a later time.
Right, no, I understand that, but thank you for explaining that. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any board comments then?
Chairman, I thought your, excuse me, Chairman, I thought your comment was very good in regards to that fee, application fee. It's spot on that it does seem a little bit low. And if I do remember, it was a few meetings back that there was some, there was a proposal by staff to adjust fees and values that unfortunately was swept away pretty fast. I think that ties to that almost exactly, where the applicant would pay a more kind of a just fee to what the work they were causing the staff to do.
Yeah.
That's all. Just a comment.
Yeah, I would agree. It would be appropriate whenever the appropriate time for looking at the fees to probably raise that, because they are getting a benefit, and they should at least cover the cost of getting that benefit.
Can I make a comment? I know that in this it says that it's 50% normally. Is there a numerical value actually right now that shows how much the fees are? Like an average or anything?
The calculation is based on the adjacent land. So we've had applications, and Heather has more history on this. I think it's usually in the thousands of dollars, anywhere from $2,000. We had a recent one that I remember processing for $9,000 that was not that vacate, never happened, but it depends on the surrounding properties. But it can be quite high if the adjacent property value is high. It depends on.
So if they were that high before and bringing them down this low, would that cause any problems?
No. The issue is that it is called an application fee in our current code, and it's calculated as a valuation of right-of-way. So the attorney's memorandum really is kind of telling you that as it currently stands, this ordinance as it stands is a problem. So it's kind of solving a problem, and Patrick may be able to elaborate.
That's pretty much agreed. It's legally, it's better to get the code in line now for a problem, and then you could adjust the value. You know, the BOC can adjust the value when that time comes.
How often do we see vacations of streets? Once a year? Once every 3 months?
Oh, how often? Well, since I've been here, I've seen one. That's a year and a half. How often do you get them?
I process in the 4 years I've been here for pretty much about 3 a year, roughly 2 to 3 a year. It just depends on, what's happening and who is looking to develop.
Another question. Although Mr. Trask's opinion is clear and it's very straightforward because there is a flaw in the current ordinance, it would be possible for someone that understood the value of the vacation to collect parcels around a street at the right location and then frankly get a windfall to get all that property for $200. Am I not seeing that right? Let's say it was a cul-de-sac with 4 houses. No? Yes?
Yeah, this, I will tell you, based on my experience, and maybe Heather's, this is highly unusual, charging for right-of-way, right? Most jurisdictions don't do it because it's public right-of-way, and the vacate has to meet all the standards. So if there is no public purpose for it, for example, one of the standards is, does it lead to water? And our code says, hey, if it's a potential water access or water view, then there's a public purpose there. So it has to meet all the public purpose.
So there's a real high bar for someone to make a vacate application successful.
Yes, I think there's a high public purpose bar. Yeah.
That's all from me. Thank you.
All right, I know that this item's kind of different than usual. Do we need a motion to
Chair, yes, you do.
approve? Is that the way we go forward?
Yes, you're going to want to call for a motion. It may be prudent, I know, as we can all see, there's no one in the audience, but it may be prudent to recognize for the record that there is no one here for any
Okay.
public comment, and then call for a vote.
Okay. All right, with there being no public present to comment, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve application 19-27.
Second.
All approve? All in favor? Or roll call vote? Roll call.
Ms. Vigil,
Yes.
Mr., let's see, Ms. McCumber,
Yes.
Mr. Vesey,
Yes.
Mr. Stavropoulos,
Yes.
Mr. Seaman.
Yes. All right, motion carries, and there's nothing else on our agenda but adjournment, I guess, so. Do I need a motion to adjourn, or do I just adjourn?
You can adjourn.
The April 8th special meeting of the Planning and Zoning Board is adjourned.